It is the last day of the Mobile World Congress here in Barcelona, Spain, and we're taking a look at some mid-range phones here to sort of cap off this whole experience. It's Joshua Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And what we're looking at is the Series L2 by LG. This is the L7 variation. Now there are the L7, the L5, and the L3. Let me just make sure my specs over here. We're starting off with the L7 and then I'll show you the L5 and 3 afterwards, but pretty much the specs on the L7 are very mid-range and then they kind of go downhill as you go down to the 5 and the 3, which is expected. That being said, however, you're looking at a 4.3-inch IPS WVGA display right here, so hardly high quality 720p, not even, of course, far from 1080p, but the display looks more than adequate for the casual user. Performance seems pretty good, especially considering that there is a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Play chipset in here that clocks out at 1 gigahertz. It's a dual-core processor, and there's also Adreno 203 graphics powering, or rather backing up, that CPU. Aside from that, however, we go down the line with more of the mid-range specs. It is not 1 gigabyte of RAM, it is instead 768 megabytes of RAM. There is an 8-megapixel camera on the back, however, and 4 gigs of onboard expandable storage, which is expandable via a micro SD slot, which I believe is accessible underneath the cover. 4.1 Jelly Bean is what you're getting here in terms of the Android OS, and a 2460 milliamp hour battery will ensure that you have quite a bit of power inside of this phone, so you can use it. It is nonetheless far from the 5-inch displays that we've been seeing at MWC this year. It is actually far from the 4.7-inch screens that we're used to. But there's always a market for smaller phones like this, and there are a lot of people out there who don't necessarily need the highest specs, the greatest features inside of their phones. They just need something that is easy and that works. I will tell you this though, the build quality on this does feel quite nice with a matted back right here, so that this phone definitely has some life in it. It's pretty rugged, so maybe a little bit smaller would mean a little bit more sturdy. So LG has come out with the L series, and we're going to take a look at the L5 and the L3 in just a sec.